So I wanted to make a quick video about all the stuff I'm doing to prepare to launch this. It's my new book. I've been working on this. My co-author and I have been working on this for 2 years. 2 years. And all of these pages that you see, those were created by other people all around the world, from Tokyo, Hungary, all over the United States. It was a huge undertaking, and we're going to announce it on Kickstarter in the next few weeks, but I want to show you quickly what I've been doing to promote it. I really didn't care at the beginning how many copies we ultimately sold. I just thought it would be a cool project. That's the only reason I made this, was because I thought, wow, how cool that would be if that came together. But as soon as I started getting into the thick of it, I realized, like, man, I can't do this on my own. I really need help. And thank God for McKenna, because she's way more organized than I am. She's very persistent, and she stuck with it, even when it was hard. And I was actually reading an article about how women are more organized than men. And let me tell you, being a married man, I believe it. My goal, honestly, in the first day is to do at least 30% of the public goal. And I don't know what that's going to be yet, but I'd imagine it's going to be at least, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to say it because it's not about the money, but I am thinking in terms of a goal that I want to quickly and easily clear. I asked people, if you want to back this on Kickstarter, just leave a comment or reply back to the email and tell me that you want to back it. So why did I ask for people to just message me and say they were going to buy it? Was I scared to post on Kickstarter and ask them to really buy it? Not at all. This is a marketing thing that I have to do in order to plant the seed in people's brain. It's not enough to just say, like, go buy my thing, nor is it enough to expect people to just find your stuff and go to it and get it. You have to get them to that level. You have to coax them along. You have to let them know that the launch is coming. You have to kind of initiate them and get them into that process, into that mode. And so this launch it's a few weeks out. And so I'm thinking in advance. Now, I've got a job. My wife and I, we live a really quiet, relaxed life for the most part. So for launches, I've done them in the past, and they can be really hectic. And I've already warned my wife that I'm going to be a pain in the neck probably for the next month or so. And she's fine with that. But so launches can be pretty tough. And the thing that I'm most focused on right now is studying Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. It's a Kickstarter campaign that they just did so well. And here's the craziest part. So not only did they get 13,000 people to back their book, they have effectively the same project. It's a book with crowdsourced art. It's a book with art from all over the world. And they did such an amazing job. Here's why I'm obsessed with Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. It's because of their trailer. Their trailer, and not just their trailer. It's like the first 5 seconds of the trailer, and you can see why here. I'm gonna play it.
Once upon a time, there was a girl who dreamed to walk on Mars.
It is so perfect because it accomplishes so many different things all at once. Once upon a time. Okay, you're about to hear a story. Your brain has switched into story mode. So you've hooked the listener likely within the first 2 seconds. 2, there was a little girl who grew up to marry a prince. That is a narrative we all know. And as soon as the record scratches, they cross that out and it replaces it with Walk on Mars. To people who never related to grow up and marry a prince, the classic Disney narrative that feminists hate. I just love it because it attracts the exact people that they want to attract. In those first 10 seconds, it grabs them, and people will see that and they'll think, oh my God, she's speaking directly to me. I was an independent person. I want my daughter to grow up to be a rebel girl. And now I'm trying to think, what is the first 10 seconds of my trailer? What is the same version for Play for a Living? And I don't want to make it's not going to be anything about my journey. It's going to be about the reader's journey. And I've been going over Donald Miller's Story Brand stuff. His stuff is really good. It's worth checking out. And he talks about how you, the company or the product maker, are not the hero of the story. You are Obi-Wan. And your customer or your client is Luke Skywalker. You are the mentor and your customer is the hero. So I'm trying to think in terms of what are the first 10 seconds of this video where I can communicate to my hero, my customer, where they may be right in that moment and where they want to be within the first 10 seconds. How do I communicate it as strongly as these women did for Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls? And I don't have an answer yet. And I'm nervous, actually, that I won't come up with something that's even close to as good as this. But right now, what I'm currently thinking is a lot of people just view jobs as a way to pay the bills. They view it as a way to be safe, and they become joyless in their work over time, and life just kind of grinds them down. That's the opposite of what this book is about, which is finding joy in your work. I really don't know. I don't know what these first 10 seconds of the trailer are going to be. I've got some other cool stuff that I'm working on. I started putting together a master list of things that I want to accomplish during the pre-launch, during week 1, week 2. And the goal here is to have all this stuff ready to roll and done, automate it as much as possible, or delegate some of it to McKenna to kind of just watch and make sure it runs its course. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of moving pieces during launches. And so you kind of have to be on top of the ball. Week 1 is going to be primarily focused on family, friends, our immediate circle. Week 2, we're going to be notifying a little bit more journalists and press and stuff, but not pushing too hard. Week 2 and 3 are going to be when my appearances on other people's podcasts and maybe a couple people's blogs start to show up, because the first week is going to be the highest spike of sales, or the second highest spike of sales, and you want to get 30%, about a third of your sales done in the first 3 days, because if you do that, you're virtually guaranteed to get through the rest of the launch and successfully fund your product. So in the second and third week, I'm going to have my guest appearances on blogs on other sites to go live, because after the first week, sales take a dive. And so that period can be a little scary, because the initial enthusiasm wears down and sales come down. So you need that next bubble of attention. And that's when those guest pieces will go live, hopefully drive some more sales, hopefully blow us through the goal. If not, that's okay, because in week 3 and 4 is when we'll really start aggressively pitching other Kickstarters to cross-promote us and journalists. And hopefully the story by then will be that this Kickstarter is successful and it's interesting, and it's going to be about, this is one of the biggest group projects of the year, or of the last couple of years, that 50 artists around the world were contributing. So yeah, that's it. But man, the emails and the comments and stuff that I got from people were just really awesome. I mean, I heard from readers of mine that are in Italy, in France, in Tokyo, and it was just really, really humbling and touching. And I actually heard from a guy named John, who I realized 8 years ago today, he interviewed me. He did my very first interview. It was after I'd written my first book. And I remember that interview, and I remember thinking, I can't believe I'm being interviewed. And it's just made me realize how far I've come to be able to do this sort of thing and just get an outpouring of support right off the bat. Whereas in the past, I would have been terrified to do this. I wouldn't have had much support outside of my family and close friends. I've got readers all over the world, and I don't say that to brag at all, but it's just, it's amazing. So I'm really touched. My wife and I are really excited for this, because today, every week we work on our finances together. We go to a cafe, we sit there, and we talk about our financial situation, what we can do to improve it, things we can work on that'll bring in more income to the family, because we've got a baby girl coming in a couple months, and we paid off our credit card, one of our credit cards today. We had some debt on it, and so that felt really good. And we're both working full-time jobs and doing some hustling stuff on the side to make this work. So it's card is full.